Good morning, guys. It's Vincent on here again, and in this lecture, we'll be talking about variables and types in C#. So, in our curriculum, this is the first item on our curriculum. I hope you all have your environment set up already. That's Visual Studio Code and .NET Core, and you're ready for C#. So, we'll be talking about what C# or variable in C# is. But before that, I want you to understand what a variable is in itself before we talk about C#. Now, what really is a variable or a type? And I would like to use my favorite example to explain this. And you might be wondering why I have these images of different buckets here. And this is my favorite thing to explain a variable with. So let's imagine that you live somewhere where you don't always have running water. So sometimes the tap runs and sometimes it doesn't, right? And you need to save water for the days that there's no water in the tap, basically. What do you do then? You go out and you buy a bucket, right? And then when you buy a bucket, you use that bucket to store up water, right? Yeah, everyone gets that. We all did it. Some of us did it in school and other places. So what we've said here is that if you need to save water to use for a future date, you need to first get a bucket, and then you need to put the water in the bucket and save it. Now, let us go back to variables in C# and use the bucket analogy to kind of understand it. In our programs, sometimes we usually need to save certain things in the computer because we're going to need them later. Understand that. So when we are writing programs, a lot of times we need to save certain values in our computer so we can use them later. Okay, so if you get that, you understand what a variable is. So ultimately, a variable is like a container that we can save values in so that we can use them later. For example, let's imagine I need to write a program that can send a happy birthday text message to people when it's their birthday. So I'm going to create, I'm going to create two variables. I'm going to create one variable to hold the person's name. So then I can say happy birthday to them. And then I'm going to create another variable that's going to hold their birthday. And then my program is just always going to check, is it this person's birthday yet? If it is that person's birthday, then send them a message. So every day my program goes and check, hey, is this date in this variable this person's birthday? If it is, send them a birthday message. If it is not, don't send them a birthday message. And even though this sounds really simple, these are the kind of programs you see in our banking applications. When they send you there, happy birthday to you, or First Bank sends a message and says happy birthday to you from First Bank. These are the kind of things they're doing. They're saving your birthday in a variable. So ultimately, I want us to understand that that is what a variable is. So a variable allows us to store things. I can create a variable and put my name in it. So then I can go down later in my program and say, hey, what is this name we stored in this variable? And the variable will give that name back to me. That is what a variable is. And I hope you understand it. If you don't get it, leave a comment, drop me a message. I'm happy to explain it again. Now that is what a variable is. Now let's talk about types. What are types? So this is supposed to be variables and types, right? So what's a type? Now I'm going to go back to the bucket analogy again. You notice because we needed to store water, we needed something to store water in, so we needed a bucket. We did not choose to store water in a basket because we can't store water in a basket. So for everything you need to store, there's a certain kind of container that you need to store that thing in. So for water, now we're storing water in a bucket. But let's say we need to store some fruits and we need those fruits to be aired. So it's important that air is always touching those fruits. In that situation, then it's best for us to store them in a basket because the basket is woven and it has open sides where air can actually get to our fruits. So because we want to store fruits, we can store fruits in a different type of container. So that is, even though they're both containers, they're of different types. Now, that's a fundamental understanding between variables and types. So depending on what you need to store, you're going to decide what type of container, also what kind of variable you're going to store that thing in. I hope you're getting me. So for water, you can store water in a basket, and you can store your jewelry in a bucket. Even though you can store your jewelry in a bucket, it doesn't make sense for you to buy a huge bucket just to store jewelry. For that, you're going to buy a jewelry box. So depending on what value or what you need to save or store, that kind of defines the kind of container or the kind of variable you buy. Now let's take it back to C#. The different types of variables or containers in C# too. Now let's say I need to store my age. My age is an integer. Let's assume that I am 99, for example. I'm going to store my name in a kind of C# variable called an integer. Now, an integer holds numbers. An integer knows what to do with numbers. It knows how to store numbers. So I'm going to take my age, 99, and save it inside an integer type of variable. Now we're going to look at how to create an integer variable after this explanation. I just want to make sure you all get this. So, but if I need to store my name, for example, my name is a string or something you call a text. So my name is Vincent Mwana. It is not a number. So I'm going to save my name in a different kind of variable that is called a string. So that is what types are. Depending on what exactly you need to save, you're going to create that type of that variable, and that's the simple distinction. So a variable is a container, which can be a bucket or an integer, and then the variable type is the type of that container. So you can have a container that a bucket, or a container that a basket. In the same way, you can have containers in your C# programs that can hold an integer or that can hold a string. And I really hope you understand it. It's important for me that you understand what we mean by types when we talk about programming. Now, I think it's time we go over and I actually show you some code. So I'm going to, if you're on Windows, so I'm currently using my Ubuntu machine here. But if you're on Windows, you can simply open your command prompt. I'm going to open my terminal now. So I'm going to search for terminal. I'll open it up. And what I want to do here is to create a new project, a new C# project, and just give you a few examples of what we've been talking about. Now, we're going to use the same command we used in the last time to create a new C# project. So I'm going to say .NET new console-n, and now I can give my program a name. I'm going to name my program variables. So I want this program to be named variables. So the command to create a new .NET program is .NET new console, and then I use -n and variables to give it a name. So this project will be named variables. I'm going to hit enter, and you see it says the template console application was created successfully. So I have created my application now. Great. I can now, I'm just going to wait for it to finish certain operations, and it's done. This is the same on Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you're using is the same command for this part. Now, I will continue. I'm going to say type ls here. Now I'm using ls here because I'm on Linux. To do this exact same thing on Windows, you're going to use dir. So on Linux, it is ls. On Windows, it is dir. But since I'm on Linux here, I'm going to say ls and I'm going to hit enter. And then I can see here that my project has been created. Variables, I have it here. And now what do I need to do? I need to go into my project and open it with Visual Studio Code that we installed. So I'm going to say cd variables. Remember to get capitalization correct, it's a capital V. So cd means change directory, variables. It's the same command on Linux, Windows, Mac. And then I hit enter. And now, if you noticed, I now have variables attached to this. This means I am in my variables folder. Since I'm in my variables folder, I can now say type code and dot. So code space full stop. Now this is going to open Visual Studio Code and open my project in Visual Studio Code. All I have to do here now is hit enter. And I have Visual Studio Code coming up now. And that's it. Visual Studio Code is open. And it shows my terminal again. And all I have to do is to switch to this tab, the terminal tab. And I'm just going to let it initialize for a bit. It's done. Now, we'll continue working in our program.cs file like we did the last time. I'm just going to open it up. And then we have our C# code again. Now all of this, everything here is important for the C# program to run, so don't clear any of them. Only replace the lines of codes that I have said you should replace. Now we're going to start from here. We're going to take out this line of code. Now what this line of code does is, from our last lecture, remember that this line of code displays a message to the user. So we can use this line of code to display a message to the user. And very quickly, I'm going to change this to hello, my name is Vincent, just to prove to you that yes, this line of code is used to display something to the user. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to come down here and say .NET run. So you use .NET run to run your project like we did the last time. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to give it a while and then just let it run. I really hope it works. Okay, great. So we have hello, my name, Vincent. Oh, that's a mistake, so I'm just going to change it to is. My name is Vincent, not my name Vincent. So I'll say hello, my name is Vincent. I'll go to file, I'll say save, and then I'll command type .NET run again. So right now you're starting to learn that .NET run is the command used to run your .NET, your C# project or your .NET project. So I'll say .NET run, and now yes, my name is Vincent, correct. So we know this project works. Now we want to use some variables. Like I told you, a variable is a container, and every variable has a name, so then we can refer to it. It's the same way if you buy a bucket and maybe you have 3 buckets in your house and you need someone to bring a bucket to you. You're going to say, hi, maybe my brother's name is Richard, so I'm going to say, hi Richard, please bring me the black bucket. So then he knows which bucket to bring to me. So I'm going to create a variable now, and I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to create a variable by saying int person's age equals 99. And now most C# projects, most C# code ends with the semicolon at the back, just like here. So remember to add the semicolon when you say int person's age equals 99. Great. Now what we're doing here is this int person's age creates a variable or a container of type int. And like we said, the int variable holds integers, that's numbers. So we're taking 99 and saving it inside of person's age. And now, instead of saying hello, my name is Vincent, let us use what is in the container. To print what is in the container out, we can just come and clear this and then say, hey, show the user what is inside person's age. And then I'm going to save the project, come back here and say .NET run. And now we see it prints out 99. What is happening here is it went into person's age, which is our container, and says, hey, what is inside person's name? And it says, oh, it's 99 that's inside person's name. Okay, display 99 to the user. And that is what is happening here. I just created a different type of integer. and say string. This time I'm going to say string persons. I don't know how to spell. String person's name equals Vincent Wanda, and then remember our semicolon at the back. Now I have created another variable here, so person's name, and this time I use string because what I need to store is my name, which is a string or a text, and anytime you need to store a text you add a string. And then note the quotes. Anytime you need to store a string you put quotes around it. That's where your program knows, okay, what I'm trying to store here is a string. Let us try something here. Instead of int, I'm going to change the type of my variable to int, and I'm going to try to store person's name in an int. And if you notice now, I have this red underline on my project, and this is an error. Anytime you have a red underline, it means there's an error, and it is telling me cannot convert string to int. So it's saying, hey, what you're giving me is a string, it's text, but you're trying to save it in an integer variable. That doesn't make sense. I can't do that. What is the analogy here is, hey, you're trying to store water in a basket. That doesn't make sense. So I need to store a string or text in the string variable. So I'm going to change the type of my variable to string. So now my program knows, okay, yes, you want to store your name in a string variable or in a container that can hold a string. That makes sense. I can allow that. Now, the same way we did before, let's come down here and say console dot write line person's name, and that's it. Now we can now say .NET run again, and let's see what our output is going to be. Awesome. So we see we're printing out two things now. So first of all, we're showing the age, and then we're showing the name. So we're saying, hey, take what is inside of age and display to the user. Also take what is inside of person's name and display. And that's really the simple thing. Computer programs use variables all the time. We use variables for a lot of different kinds of things. Now, let's take this a bit forward. Now, how about we don't want to put my name here? So currently this program can only display my name, right? Let us change this a bit. Let us make sure that we can ask for someone's name and then say hello to the person. We want to write a program that can request someone's name and then say hello to them. So I'm going to start by clearing everything we have here. And then I'm going to say string person name equals quotes. And what I'm doing now is I'm assigning an empty string to person name. So currently what this means is I have created the container, but I am not putting anything in the container. That is what this line of code means. I have created this container that can hold text, but I am not putting anything in it. Now I want someone using my program to give me their name. The way to do that in C# is to say person name equals console dot read line. So before we do this, let us add a line of code up here. Let us say console dot write please enter your name. Now this is awesome. What we're doing here is we're telling our user, so we're just displaying to the screen that, hey, please type your name. This is actually going to show, please enter your name on our screen. And then what we're doing here with this line helps us capture whatever the person enters. So whatever the person types in and hits enter, this line is going to capture it and save it in our variable or our bucket, which is person name. So I'm going to come down here. After capturing it, we want to display a message to them. So we're going to say console dot write line hello, and then we're going to use the plus symbol, hello plus person name. And what this does, let me explain what we're doing here. So first, we create a container or variable called person name that can hold a person name, and we set it to empty. So we're leaving it empty, we're not putting anything in it. And then we've used console.write line a lot, but now we're using console.write, and you're going to see the difference in a minute. So we say console.write, please enter your name, and then we display the column to the person, and then the computer displays, please enter your name to the person. And then we put this line of code here to capture whichever name the person entered. So this line of code captures whichever name the person entered and saves it into this person name variable. After saving it into this person name variable, we then come down here and we say hello plus the person's name. Now what happens here is our program is going to display hello. It's then going to go check, oh, which name is saved in person name. We don't know what name it is. We don't know what name the person entered, but we can be sure that it is saved in person name. And then we can say, give me the contents of person name and say hello to them. So when you use a plus between two strings, it's going to join them together. Let us run this very quickly and see. I'm just going to bring up my command line a little higher so you can see everything I'm trying. So I'm going to say .NET run, and just give it a second to run. And now it's saying, please enter your name. It is waiting for me to type something now. I'm going to type my name, Vincent. And I'm going to hit enter, and it says hello Vincent Warner. Remember to save. So after typing all of this, remember to save. So I can come back here and I'll run my project again. I'll say .NET run, and I'll hit enter. And I'm just going to, and now it's asking me for my name again. This time, let's say my name has changed. Maybe I got married and I changed my name to my wife's name. So I'm going to say my name is Vincent May. Vincent May. I'm going to hit enter, and it says hello Vincent May. So this is an example of what variables can do. We're using a very simple example here, but these are the kind of things that variables can do. We can collect different types of input from users using variables, and we don't need to know the person's name beforehand, so we don't have to put the person's name in our project, but we can still interact with them, get their name. We could be getting their name or their email address and be saving it to a database. I think that's really is it with variables. They're really easy to use, just simple to use, and this is our introductory variables and types in C# courses. Course, there's a lot of variables in C#, but we're just going to keep this short and simple. This is the part 1 video. I hope you stay tuned for the part 2 of variables in C#. Thank you.